Hi everyone, my name is Franklin Ezuguna. I'm a software developer and a coach with over 5 years of experience in the industry. I'm passionate about helping young and aspiring developers enhance their skills and also give them career clarity so that they can be able to navigate through their whole software journey. Today, I'll be showing you guys how the callback function works, and I'll be using a scaffolding learning approach, which means we are going to build knowledge incrementally. We are going to start with the fundamentals and gradually introduce a more advanced concept so that even a layman or a novice who have not even touched the computer for the first time would understand callback function. So stay with me. First, we start with the fundamentals of JavaScript. How does the JavaScript engine works? How does it perform its task? That should be the fundamentals. It may interest you to know that JavaScript is a single-threaded programming language, which means it can only perform just one task at a time. However, it has some asynchronous mechanism that can help the engine perform multiple tasks, and this process actually helps to speed up the processing power of JavaScript. Some of these mechanisms are callback function, promise, async and wait. These are some of these mechanisms, and this is what makes JavaScript very powerful and unique. Let me illustrate this. Okay, let's use an illustration for this. Let's assume that this is a JavaScript engine. As I told you before, JavaScript is a single-threaded. It means it performs its operation sequentially, one task at a time. If it finishes with the first task, then it goes to the second task, finishes it, then goes to the third task, does it. It does this sequentially. But however, it has an asynchronous mechanism. This is it. The asynchronous mechanism could be in the form of callback function or a promise or async and wait. So it depends on the particular mechanism you are using. What I mean by this is that, assuming you have several tasks to do by the JavaScript engine, let's say task 1 is printing just hello world. That is just task 1. Then task 2 is printing another hello world. So what really happens here is that, and let's say task 3 is fetching data from the database. Task 3 is for the JavaScript engine to fetch data from this database here. So, or from a web request, or to get a web request, or from your file system. It just wants to fetch a data from a third-party process. You understand? So what really happens here is that after it performs the first task, which is printing out hello world, it performs it, printing out hello world, then it does the second task, which is also printing out another hello world. Then it gets to this third task, which is actually to fetch data from the database. It wants to fetch data from this database. So this process will take some time to accomplish, to fetch the data from the database. So instead of us to just wait and the system just wait, this task 4 will not continue. Instead of system to just wait and stay mute, Instead, it assigns it to another third process using a callback function or promise or async, and with any asynchronous process you choose to use. It assigns it to it. Then the other task continues continues its operation. It does the fourth task. So the whole process continues. When it is done, it queues back on the event loop of the JavaScript engine. You see how it works? So it continues, and that is how the JavaScript engine works. This is how it works. This is how it performs its tasks, and the process continues. If there is another task that wants to be assigned, it does the same process, and the cycle continues. This is what makes JavaScript very fast, very fast, very fast and effective. This is why JavaScript is very powerful. So the next step, I'll be explaining it in a code editor, so you understand how it works in a code. Let's explain using an actual code. This is the VS Code editor. This has only 3 lines of code. The first line is a comment. You create a variable called books. Then we write a function that gets data from the database and pass a parameter called names. So what happens is that the first line of code goes to the database and gets some data that is stored in the variable called books. After the line of code is processed, it goes to the second line. It prints out welcome everyone. Then proceeds to the third line and prints out the data stored in the books variable. The above code is a synchronous operation or blocking, meaning until the first line of code finishes, it's going to block the rest code. But JavaScript executes its code differently from this. I will show you another piece of code. This is the JavaScript asynchronous way of executing code. Just the same way we define the same function which gets data from the database. Also pass in the same parameters called name. But we are going to pass another parameter which is called a callback function. So the way the above code works is that it will go to this part to get the data, and while the database querying is happening, which normally takes some seconds, JavaScript engine proceeds to the next line of code to print the welcome everyone. It's not going to wait for the database querying to finish. When it's done with the querying, the callback function informs the JavaScript engine that it is done. So by design, it's a non-blocking asynchronous operation, meaning everything is happening together. So for further understanding, let's relate it to a real life. Imagine this man here as yourself, and you have to perform 2 tasks, which are to train your dog and send emails to your email list. And you decided to employ a dog trainer to help you train your dog. Instead of standing and waiting for the dog trainer to finish the task, you decided to proceed to your second task, which is sending emails. So when the dog trainer is done, she simply calls your attention. This is what it means. This is what it means to be asynchronous. It means that you can actually perform 2 tasks at the same time without stopping, as in they can actually happen at the same time without stopping. So it makes this is why the JavaScript engine is very powerful. So we can now define a callback function. So what is a callback function? According to W3 School, which is one of the most renowned JavaScript documentation online, a callback function is a function passed as an argument to another function. This technique allows a function to call another function. A callback function can run after another function has finished. This is the definition of a callback function. So let's explain when to use the callback function. When do we use the callback function? When do we use the callback function? We use a callback function when a function has to wait for another function to run, like waiting for a file to load, waiting for something to happen. When there is actually a third process, that's when we normally use a callback function. So let's see how it works on the code editor. This is how to define a callback function. First, let's see just normal function that is not a callback function. From this code editor, you can see that get data from database is just a normal function, and the name, the date, and the number here 0 are actually parameters or arguments. They are actually arguments that have been passed to the function already. You understand? So how can we define a callback function? What is the difference between a callback function and a normal function? The difference is that this set timer now, this set timeout now, you can see that it has a function as a parameter or as an argument. It has another function as an argument. The function could be anything. You can see there are two arguments here, the function and 0. There are actually two arguments here. In this first case, just normal function, there are 3 arguments, the name, date, and 0. But in this callback function, there are just 2 arguments, which is the callback function and 0, which is the number. So you see, when you actually pass a function as an argument in another function, it's called a callback function. And we have already explained how it works in the JavaScript engine. We already explained all the process. I think with this, it is very easy to understand the callback function. Thank you very much.